of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders, episode 33, the conclusion to the Alessi two-parter. Now this episode, even though it did contain some goofy comedy moments, this had some more serious scenes and some scenes that were pretty messed up, I'm not gonna lie. But despite that, this week's episode was better than last week. Set tried to attack Chibi Polnareff with his axe, but it was blocked by Chibi Silver Chariot, which, by the way, his rapier sword was still missing its blade, but because Set was stronger than Chibi Silver Chariot, it managed to pin him onto the wall and nearly slicing his arm off. You know, when you see adult Polnareff dealing with this, you kind of get used to it, but when you see a 7-year-old Polnareff and Silver Chariot being hurt or coming close to dying, it's pretty messed up to watch. So Alessi grabbed Chibi Polnareff and tried to drown him in the bathtub. He does reach the plug, pulling it out so that the water could drain and so that he could be able to breathe. Unfortunately, Alessi did still have some brain cells that worked. He moved Chibi Polnareff onto the drain so that the water would drain slowly and still by enough time for him to kill him. But luckily, Chibi Polnareff does get out of this situation in a very disgusting way. Chibi Polnareff took a dump in the bathtub and then kicked his own poop onto Alessi's face, causing him to freak out and let him go. Well, granted, at least he did save himself, but ew! Seriously though, this is like the 4th time we get a scene that involves with poop. I thought this was gonna be done ever since that dry toilet that Joseph and Iggy saw, but no, we need to add in like one more scene involving poop. But this did lead to a funny moment when Alessi broke the 4th wall saying this line, "A main character would never even think about doing that." Well, considering Polnareff is not the main character, I guess he has every right to do that. Now the question still remained, what happened to the woman? She did touch Set, but she touched a shadow longer than Polnareff did, so she de-aged quite a number of years, but she didn't de-age into a baby, she de-aged into a fetus. A fetus! That was so messed up. Because seriously, I felt so bad for this woman, because she's now a freaking fetus and would die in a matter of minutes. By the way, what is the range of Histan's ability? If you touch the shadow in an instant, it's enough to de-age a 24-year-old man into a 7-year-old. Yet the woman touched the shadow within a couple of seconds and it de-aged her into a freaking fetus? And I didn't think Histan can de-age people so far that they would turn into a fetus. Like, if she stood there a couple of seconds longer, then she would have, like, disappeared or probably turned into, like, an egg and a sperm or something. I don't know. Like, damn, when you think about it, his stand is pretty scary. So Chibi Polnareff, upset over what happened to this woman, grabbed onto her clothes and the fetus and tries to make a run for it. Alessi does chase after him, and he used his shadow on Polnareff, which he touched twice and de-aged into a 3-year-old. So Chibi Polnareff does lock himself into another room, but he couldn't escape the room because the bars were too close, and even though he was 3 years old, he couldn't squeeze in between the bars. Now, I was wondering why Alessi didn't break down the door sooner, but I think he just wanted to invoke some more fear onto Chibi Polnareff. But what really did bug me is the fact that he still kept using the axe and not the gun. Like, he had a gun, and he never used it ever again. What, did he run out of bullets when he tried to shoot Polnareff? Well, then again, Polnareff would try to at least dodge the bullets, that's for sure, but seriously though, I still think he should have stuck with the gun. So Alessi does break down the door with his axe, and he makes this creepy face going, "Pero, no, 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 pero, pero, pero." Just sticking out his tongue and just laying around. Oh god, Alessi's creepy. But when he got into the room, Chibi Polnareff was gone. So we find the possible places that Chibi Polnareff would hide and destroy them. Some of the hiding spots do make sense, like a pail and a stuffed animal, but he destroys a clock thinking that Chibi Polnareff would be hiding there. Okay, I know he's small, but how the hell would he fit into a clock? Alessi then gets so angry, he loses it, swinging his axe around, destroying whatever's in the room, yelling out, "Ine, ine, ine, ine!" which means not here. It turns out that he was hiding inside the aquarium, using the mirror to cover his body. Basically the same trick Arabia Fats used during the Sun episode, but he also used this ball and cut eye holes on it to hide his head and the fetus inside the ball. It was a very smart plan, and I'm so glad that Chibi Polnareff pulled it off. By the way, when they showed the scenes of how his plan worked, David's production used the animation and artwork used on the thought stand onto the scene, which I thought it was actually a nice touch. So he summons Chibi's Silver Chariot, and it stabs Alessi right through the nose and then slices his face multiple times, which is great. Unfortunately, Alessi runs away and jumps out the freaking window. I'm surprised he was okay considering how high he was when he fell and all the glass embedded on his body and those cuts on his face. But then this led to a unintentionally funny scene because coincidentally he landed right in front of Jotaro. Jotaro just happened to be passing by and boom, there was Alessi. Oh my god. So Alessi did panic, but he decided to play dumb, pretending to be some sort of housekeeper, saying that, oh, he tried to clean the windows but he tripped. But Chibi Polnareff emerges from the window and Jotaro notices this, which gives Alessi an opportunity to use sets since Jotaro was distracted. He did jump over the shadow, but he did touch it. And then he started to de-age into a 7-year-old kid. And since Jotaro recently awakened his stand, he can't use his stand as a kid, so he's pretty much defenseless. Alessi, while Jotaro was de-aging, started gloating and acting like he won, saying, I won! I'll be the one to kill Jotaro! Lord Dio, please pay me royally! I'm like, dude, shut up! All that time he used like gloating and acting like he won, he could have used that time to attack Jotaro. Or, you know, if he still had the gun, he could have tried to shoot him. So he tries to attack Chibi Jotaro with his axe, and then all of a sudden, boom! He gets punched in the face by 7-year-old Jotaro. What? Don't get me wrong, that was awesome! Seeing a kid beating up Alessi, but what the hell? I thought Jotaro was a nice kid. I mean, at least that was established in the Holly flashback in episode 1. You know, no, I think that's just what Holly sees, and Jotaro is still the tough guy even as a 7-year-old kid. Or maybe because since his memories were still intact and they were like slowly fading, he still maintained his 17-year-old attitude and personality, which was enough for him to beat up Alessi. That's Jojo for you. It's Jojo for you. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. Seeing a 7-year-old Jotaro, I thought it was kind of cute and funny at the same time. And for some reason, his face was hidden. Like, they didn't reveal his face. I don't know why, but I thought it would have been cool to see his face, but whatever. And even though he's 7 years old, even though he doesn't have Star Platinum, he can still kick some serious ass. He says, yada yada. Don't underestimate me just because I'm a kid. And then proceeds to punch him in the face going, oh, no. I was like, this is awesome. Yet, this is kind of bullshit too. Because he's 7 years old and he's able to beat up Alessi, but it's still awesome to see. I thought it was pretty cool. So Alessi was sent flying, he trips over his axe, hits his head a couple times on the ground. So Alessi was unconscious for a bit, but when he came to, he saw Polnareff and Jotaro right in front of him, and they're back to normal. By the way, I'm so glad that Polnareff went back to the room and put on his clothes. Anyway, this led to a very satisfying beatdown. Not as awesome as Steely Dan's beatdown, but still just as awesome and satisfying. Polnareff says, not good enough, time to make doubly sure he's finished, which led to a double team beatdown with Silver Chariot and Star Platinum. They were like close to Alessi and they were like smiling at him. Well, Silver Chariot doesn't have a face, but you can tell he's smiling. And I thought it was kind of funny and kind of cool at the same time. And then they started to beat up the living crap out of him. Star Platinum punching him, Silver Chariot stabbing him multiple times with his sword. Oh, which by the way, he got back his blade when he was still a kid. I don't get what's up with that, but whatever. And what made this scene awesome is that both Silver Chariot and both Star Platinum went that was awesome. Although I thought Silver Chariot would have went you know? Like he used to back in episode 5, but I still thought it was freaking awesome. And okay, I don't know how this happened, but the sheer force of their attacks sent Alessi flying Team Rocket style. I mean, there was even like the twinkle at the end, which was awesome. And while he was like flying up in the air, he says his catchphrase one last time, Inai Nay! And then you have the text and narrator saying, the stand user set, God of Destruction and Storms, Alessi aged 38 and single. He is 38 years old and he got beaten up by 7-year-old Jotaro. God, this guy's pathetic. Well, that or Jotaro as a kid was a badass. Anyway, age 38 and single, has been blown away into the distance, retires. I've been noticing that since, I believe, Anubis, they've been doing the retired text a lot. They only did that once in the Sun episode in the previous season, but they've been like doing that a lot, so I'm guessing we're going to have a lot of that as the series progresses. So since Jotaro and Polnareff were back to normal, so was the woman, and even though she was a fetus, she still retained her memories, even though she thought at first it was a dream, but she remembered Chibi Polnareff protecting her. I don't know how that works, but okay. She was wondering where the kid was, and goes outside, sees Polnareff, and Polnareff was like blushing. It was so cute, and she had one of his earrings. So she goes up to Polnareff and asks him if she's seen a kid with silver hair like his. I guess Polnareff wanted to protect her, so he had to reject her, saying that he hasn't seen this kid and that they've never met before, which is a shame because the woman looked like she knew that Polnareff was the kid. Okay, how is it that this woman, which we don't even know her name, can figure out that Polnareff was the kid, yet Jotaro couldn't figure out that the kid was Polnareff? Like, seriously! Polnareff and Jotaro leave, and the woman now believes that it was a dream, and she's never going to see the kid again. All she has to remember him by was this earring, and I don't know what I was expecting from this scene. I just thought that maybe those two might actually get together. She was a nice woman, and she was, but I guess because, you know, Polnareff wanted to protect her, so that's why he had to lie to her. Plus, I don't know how she would react if she learned that Polnareff was the kid, or the whole concept of stance. And I really do feel bad for Polnareff, seriously. I hope that when all this is over, he finds a nice woman that will love him back. I mean, he seriously deserves some love after all the shit he had to go through. While walking away, he tells Jotaro not to say one word, but Jotaro just pats him on the shoulder, which I thought was a really nice moment between the two, but it was interrupted by Joseph, who yells at them for wandering off. But he gets into an argument with Polnareff since they had to go look for him. But it doesn't matter because they're all reunited, so they can go off for breakfast. And Iggy walks into the scene just to remind us that he's still in this anime. And I liked that he turned to the camera and just puts up his paw and says, "Rarf." It made me think that he just like turned to the audience saying, I'm still here, by the way. Even though this fight was supposed to take place during the Mariah fight, I don't know how much time passed, because apparently it was the afternoon. How many hours passed by? Because last time I checked, it was like 9 a.m. It had to be 9 a.m. when Alessi confronted Polnareff. So were they even like fighting for like 3 hours until noon? I don't know. But then we get this restaurant scene, which I swear to God, David's production used like the same animation and the same sequence of how that restaurant scene went. Hell, this even had the same scene when the waiter walks in and Abdul tells him to like go over there. Like, seriously. Right, they got a Polaroid camera and Joseph used Hermit Purple to take a spirit photo. And this is something I really have to bring up. Every time he uses Hermit Purple, he has to smash the camera. Yet we've seen Dio use Hermit Purple. He didn't have to smash the camera. So I'm assuming he just smashes the camera just to make his stand look more awesome or something. I don't know. But luckily the spirit photo was a success and they did get a picture of Dio's hideout. But you know, since Dio's body is connected to Joseph and Jotaro, wouldn't he be aware that they know his hideout? Then again, considering that his minions have been dropping like flies, if Dio was aware of this, I think he'd be like, you know what, screw it. Let them come here so that I, Dio, can kill them myself. So yeah, that is basically it from the episode. Overall, I really liked it. It was a lot better than last week's episode. There were some moments that I do question the logic in, but considering this is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it's probably best not to dwell way into it. I did like the mix of the comedy scenes and the very serious scenes, especially when the atmosphere was tense during all those serious scenes. But the poop scene was disgusting, and the scene with the fetus, that was really messed up. I said that the fight was going to end up like the Anubis fight, which it kinda did, but at least Polnareff and Jotaro teamed up for the final blow, which was great. Alessi overall is a very despicable human being. Not since Steely Dan have I came across one of Dio's minions and hated. I'm so glad that everything bad happened to him, And I really wished that his beatdown went longer or he suffered a little bit more, but at least he got what he deserved. Although even though he's a sadistic bully who likes to pick on the weak, he's still a coward and a wimp, but at least his stand was interesting, which had a quite scary ability now that I think about it. Now since the fight was done, I can finally talk about what I wanted to say about this fight. His stand set had an interesting ability which led to so many possibilities. I really wanted the rest of the members of the group confront Alessi and fight him. I mean, it would have been so cute to see a chibi Abdul and a chibi Magician's Red. It'd be like a Blaziken de-evolved into a Torchic. And now I wish that Kakyoin didn't have that injury because it would have been so cool to like see a chibi Kakyoin and a chibi Hierophant Green shooting out tiny little emerald splashes. And it sucks that Star Platinum didn't stick around because it would be kind of cute and funny to see a chibi Star Platinum. But the character that I really wanted to fight Alessi the most was Joseph. Because since he's the oldest member of the group, he could de-age to young Joseph from part 2. And it would have been so freaking awesome. He could have used some Hamon attacks. He could have done the Tsugini Omaiwa that he always does back in part 2. He could even bring the freaking voice actor, which I forgot his name, who voiced young Joseph. I know he did Gintoki from Gintama. I'm like, damn it, Rocky! The possibilities of how this could have went down, it would have been so great! But I'm actually glad that the Capcom video game did add that into their game, so kudos to that. So anyway, overall, I like this episode. It was better than last week's episode, and seeing all the bad things happen to Alessi, especially getting beat up by 7-year-old Jotaro and that double team with Silver Chariot and Star Platinum, that was awesome. So in next week's episode, the preview shows that Jotaro and the others are going to face off, I believe, the 7th out of the 9 Egyptian God Stand users. And the preview got me hyped for next week because he's Darby the Gambler. Freaking Darby the Gambler. Okay, I've heard so many good things about his fight, and it was one of the few fights, I believe, that's in the 93 OVAs. And if it was really good in the OVAs, I really hope it's going to be really good in next week's episode. They didn't reveal his stand's name, but from what I can tell, at the end of the preview, Joseph said that he'll wager his soul, which makes me believe that Darby the Gambler's stand can steal people's souls. That is scary, yet awesome at the same time, which makes me think of Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat. Oh my god, imagine if Darby says, "Your soul is mine." Oh man, that would be so awesome. Oh, I can't wait for next week. Okay. So, tell me guys, what did you think of this week's episode of Stardust Crusaders? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you think of 7-year-old Jotaro? And did you think Polnareff did the right thing by lying to this woman? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to more videos. And be sure to check out my Facebook fan page and Google+. So yeah, that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders, episode 33. Finally, you know where Gio's hideout is. It's just a matter of time and when they'll find it. I'm gonna respond 27, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.